Hey guys, Board now back with you for another brand new television review, and this is going to be my latest review of I Am Not Okay With This, the Netflix teen series, and this is episode 4 of season 1, and it's called Stan by Me, as in a pun because of the title of Stan, who takes quite a big focus this time. And full spoilers from the start, really. So the episode opens in a different way because we actually see Stan in the opening scene, and it's like from his perspective for the first few minutes anyway. And what they basically do is it's a reverse of like him before the party, essentially. So he's getting all like dressed up, all excited. He's like dancing around to like a Bowie like 80s pop record, one of the big ones that you'll know from Bowie, from like his pop era. I guess it's one that a lot of people who are like more casual Bowie fans would know really well. But anyway, he's goofing about, dancing about, getting excited. He's practicing asking Sydney out, which of course is what happened at the party. He's also got an Enya t-shirt, which I didn't notice last time, but yeah, Enya, just to complete the sort of dorky 80s kind of like kitsch factor. We also find out then his dad's a piece of work because his dad like just uses the word faggot to describe how his son looks. So yeah, real classy kind of dad, which is as Stan is leaving. So it's just a reversal of roles to kind of show Stan's like mindset leading up to the night, and then we actually cut to him later on, which we didn't already know because it shows you him actually seeing Sydney use her powers in the forest or the woods. So we find out that Stan knows that secret, and Sid is really mad at him, makes him promise not to tell anyone, and he of course says he won't. And I mean, not a great deal happens in this episode, really. I mean, I think this is where the premise is getting a little bit stretched, but it's basically about Stan trying to persuade Sydney to like harness her powers and try to use them. He first mentions this in like chemistry in school, like it's just whispering to her. And I think one of the problems at the moment is the powers, which when she first realised it in the first episode, I think it was quite it was quite well done, and it sort of makes sense in this sort of show, linking it to like teenage angst and what have you, and kind of discovering your sexuality and your body and emotions changing. But as it's gone along, the last couple of episodes, I think it's just felt like a gimmick. It's just felt kind of forced and just doing the same over again. Whereas I think it would be more interesting if she I guess what Stan is telling her to do in this episode, explore the powers and just do something a bit different with it, just so that it can provide like more interesting stories for the character. But I think that's the thing. I think you have to go one or two ways with this sort of story. I think you either have to like really explore the powers and the different possibilities, or you need to dial them down and just focus more on like the human story. Instead, it's like this awkward kind of mix. But there's some quite funny like moments where Stan is talking about like comic book and superheroes, and there's the end scene is like at the bowling alley where Sid like finds him and kind of apologizes for being quite harsh on him, and talks about just talks a bit more about the powers, and that's when Stan's like going through all the possibilities, which I think is quite funny, and saying, well, so far have you had this, and just reading through like the different, just based on like comic book characters like the X-Men and different stuff, like I don't know, X-ray vision, all different stuff, and she's like, no. And it's another sort of bonding moment, but he's trying to get her to like use the powers, so he's saying things like, well, can you knock down like the bowling pins using your mind? And of course she can't, she's sort of struggling with that. But it's also, Sydney tells him about the kiss with Dina at the party. And again, there's more confusion about the nature of their relationship, because at the moment, Sydney is very much saying, I don't see you as a boyfriend sort of thing. But she opens up about the awkward kiss with Dina and says the person I kissed didn't want to be kissed, but doesn't actually say it's Dina, because obviously Stan just assumes that it's another guy. So that's another secret they can reveal later on. But Stan really oversteps the mark at the end of the episode, because to kind of coerce Sydney into using her powers, he just digs into all this personal like history and stuff, and just really goes for it. Really says things like, I heard your father didn't even leave a note or something. Just really dark stuff, and it does make her mad, and things start flying about, and she's like, you crazy, I could have killed you back then. But she's pissed at him, and you can understand why she's pissed at him, and just storms out, because he did cross a line, even though he was doing it in his own way. I think he thought he was doing it to kind of help her and stuff, but yeah, he definitely crossed the line, and that's going to be hard really to bring that character back around, certainly for Sydney. And as Sydney storms out of the bowling alley, we see like a shadowed figure behind her, and just watching her, and it sort of evaporates, disappears. So a bit unsure what that's going to be. I wasn't sure if it was meant to be her dad, maybe in spirit. So that was quite an interesting ending. But I think the highlight of the episode was actually this really full on kind of falling out Sydney has with her mother, because her mother is working all these hours, and obviously with the younger brother and no dad, it's sort of a lot of it is put on Sydney to like do the grocery shopping and do things around the house, cook for the brother when mum's at work still. And obviously since the first episode, Sydney has kind of been like all in the mum's face about this, and they finally have this heart to heart, and Sydney is kind of a joke, because she says Dad would never ask me to do all these things. And the mother, who I think so far it's kind of hard to get a gauge on if she's really that sympathetic. I think she certainly is in this scene. A lot of the stuff she says to Sydney is like really fair, and she says to him, or says to Sydney, sorry, then you've really got selective like memory when it comes to your father, because yes, he could be very charming and sweet at times, but he could also be very distant and not really there. And the only unfair thing she says to Sydney is that you choose him over me, and he's been dead like a year. And that's probably a bit harsh, but generally what she was saying I think was pretty fair enough. And it was this big moment between the two, and I thought it was the best part of the episode, and I would like to see more of that stuff. Two good actresses as well, so that scene played really well, and something they'd been building up to. So that's my review of episode 4 of I Am Not Okay With This. It's Stand By Me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. You can get me up on Twitter. I'll put the link in the description. And I'll be back with more TV reviews coming soon. But I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.